Is grime hip hop?
Boy, is grime hip hop? Okay, so for me, I personally say yes, but that is my opinion, and the foundation of my opinion is from the essence of how hip hop was created. For me, grime came out of that exact same formula, but in UK. It was our version. Like, yes, there was hip hop happening before that. There was people rapping on beats. Go back to the fucking. Try not to swear too much, man. I try to be polite for these things. I know Nova's being like, it's calm, Inj, but like, Inj tries to be nice, but I get emotional about conversations, innit? So like, for me now, it goes back to all of the sound systems, the toasters, like it goes back to the dance music with just UK people jumping on music with their own accent. Like, for me personally, London Posse, what was the one Million Dan was in? Demon Boys,
Boy,
London
yeah.
Posse, Demon Boys, them man there, and then people like Stevie Hyper D and Shabba MC and GQ MC, them guys were the first people that I really heard rapping in a British accent, or not necessarily rapping, being on music in a British accent in a style that I could fully relate to. Now, coming up, like, I am hip hop. Everything that I write comes from a hip hop background. Yeah, because that's what taught me how to write. But before I knew about like the UK side of hip hop, I was more into the dance music and more into the reggae stuff that was coming out of England, just because I related to it. Because all my family are Jamaican. As a UE, I was brought up on bare yard food, yard music. That was it. There was nothing else allowed to be played in the yard. So for me, it was when I first started getting into UK hip hop, there was a lot of American accents. I couldn't cope with that because I didn't relate to it. Like, it wasn't me. It was like, you know, bare people were G'ing off on it, like, yeah, man, like this and this. And I'd be like, yeah, I mean, it's all right. The bars are hard. Like, as writers, I think British culture has always produced amazing writers. But it wasn't until really, like, the turn of the flipping, like, millennium time there, where, like, there were always people coming out in the hard British accents, like we're talking Task Force, Mudfam, Berry Crew, London Posse, Rodney P, Roots Maneuver, Black Twang. All of them man there, they were there. Like, for me, they were the foundations. Like, and those man there taught me how to write. And as far as I am concerned, they are the big brothers and the forefathers of everything that I do. But then you also have to cross with them the jungle MCs, the garage MCs. So solid. People like that, man. Like, Heartless Crew, fam. Like, all them people were British accents. Yeah, no one related them to hip hop at the time, but to me, it was the same essence as how the US hip hop started and evolved. Like, that whole sort of Bronx Tale, all the rest of it. I ain't even fully probably know myself the exact ingredients and the exact details of all that, because as a youth, I was never really interested that much in that side of it. I've always liked American hip hop, but like grime and like UK hip hop, for me, they are family. They are so closely related, and lots of people like beg to differ. When sort of the grime thing first started coming, I loved it. Like, I loved it. The beats were weird, the styles were weird, but there was energy and there was vibes. Yeah. And like, I used to show enough hip hop mans. I'd be like, look at these people, like show them flipping Wiley and Dizzy on Rinse and like flipping Rough Squad and all them kind of people, and they'd be like, nah, I'm not down. Like, nah, they're too early in their art form. They're not being like as creative and as great as they could. But for me, it was just the raw energy, and actually like, the essence of all of that to me was just one. And like, now that time has evolved, like, one of the albums that I think is a very significant album in UK music, and I think it went under the radar by enough. It got publicised enough, and like, man done big work, but it was Fallacy's Black Market Boy. Yeah, because for me, that album crossed every single element of UK music, but it was under the hip hop banner. Man was rapping grime speeds, garage speeds, hip hop speeds, drum and bass speeds.
Ahead of his time, man.
Oh, bruv, man was so fucking far ahead of his time. Like, it was ridiculous.
On that, do you think that would be under the hip hop banner if it came out today?
No. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. If it come out today, people would be like, yeah, check out this new Grime album. Or like, they'd give it a different title. They'd pigeonhole it somewhere else. When it come out, it was hip hop, bruv. But man had the reggae elements. He had every element of UK music that I love and I like. And so for me, that was like, hearing that album was significant, because what it showed me was actually everything can mix and blend. Yeah, we create all these sounds from this island to the point where now, like, you know, Dizzy's even said it in his interviews, like you can go find them online somewhere. He's like, yeah, when he was making grime in the early days of grime, he was influenced by the Dirty South style and all that style. And you can hear that. But also on the flip side of that, years later, you're seeing people like Kanye, Jay-Z, they're employing people like Hudson Mohawk, Flux Pavilion, they're like, and all them man there, they're coming back to us. So yes, they've influenced us, but like they hear what we have and they're like, bruv, you lot are creating a vibe. And when you look at the backbone of them vibes, you got reggae, you got soul, you've got jungle, you got garage, like UK garage, not like US Chicago garage, because man never knew about that. When people were like, nah, the garage you're listening to isn't real garage, I was like, what is then? And they play me some stuff and I was like, yeah, but that ain't got the bass, that's not fucking like, that's not ours. Like, you know, because like, I'm a simple man, like I like music that's got anything that's got a good B line in it and a hard beat, I can flex with. That's why I've always liked hip hop. So I've always liked reggae. I'll always like jungle, drum and bass, grime, garage, whatever. Any BPM, yeah, if it's come from the UK, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna have massive bass, it's gonna have flipping hard beats, like the structure's gonna be a little bit different to anywhere else around the world. And like this brings me to the point where like we are now in a time where everything is even more closely related, where like some of the best sounds in the UK for me currently, Manchester, Birmingham, Bristol, like them man there, like they have got the weight. And I think maybe because like it's not a London thing, like them man have had to come even harder to get a little attention, because the stuff that they have and it, for me personally, and it's all my opinion, it's like nothing more. Anyone wants to chat to me and say, Inja, you're a dickhead, I don't believe what you say, chat to me fam, it's my opinion, everyone's entitled to that. But like all of the elements that them lot have in all of that music that is coming out now, that has grown over the last 15 and 20 years, like that has come from like predominantly UK influences, like down to the drum patterns, to the beeline patterns, to the bass sounds, to the flipping nice little floaty sounds that go across it all, like, you know. And we now as a country, and we always have done, you go back to the Beatles and all them people way before then, we have always influenced the world with music. Yeah, it's just now come around where apart from influencing the world, we are now influencing ourselves again. Because when man first got into this thing, people were like, oh, what, hip hop? Nah fam, man ain't listening to that, hip hop's American. And like I would be supporting and showing them bare heads, man. I've put on fucking shows, I've linked the heads across all the spectrums, and like people would be like, nah, hip hop's like American and all the rest of it. But actually like now we have a market. We have our own market, and it's now to the point, I don't know if it was you that put it up, but like, I think it was you that put it up as well, actually. I can't remember, because I flipped through so many flipping timelines.
I think it might be Genesis Elijah if you're going to say what you're going to say.
It was, because you know. So basically, we're now in a time where people listen to more UK music than any other music. And that is only because the market has grown. And with the market growing, it's come through generations. So I was a generation where enough of the people my age, they still will not mess with UK hip hop, like, or grime or anything like that, because they want traditional American hip hop. Bruv, man loves Ghostface, man loves Wu, all them things. Anything that's hard with good lyricism, I like. But then the generations have changed. So I've seen it in my lifetime of people not really digging UK music to now it's the point where you ain't listening to anything that ain't from here, because they relate to us. And whether it's flipping Kano's latest album with the hip hop stuff on it, whether it's flipping DEE, I swear down, no one gets as many pull-ups and reloads as DEE. I said it, bruv. Ask one of the grime man that question when you ask them, yeah? When you get a grime man into chat, ask them who notoriously still gets the most pull-ups. And for me, I personally think it's DEE. Like, but like, you know, you've got all these kids that are being brought up on this, and like man's taught in schools, man's worked in flipping youth offenders, man's worked in flipping youth prisons and all the rest of it. And all them man there, they ain't like, yeah, you know, everyone listens to the American hit songs that are the hits, whatever, but like actually their staple diet is all the hood UK music, which crosses all the spectrums, man. You listen to them hood rappers, 9 times out of 10,
that's what it is.
Like the beats that they're riding are more grime-like than they are traditional hip hop.
Yeah, or trap.
Or yeah, well,
that's where the lines are getting blurred for me.
Trap comes comes from grime, bruv. To me,
No.
I think like trap comes from the dirty South originally.
Yeah.
If we're really going to like the
that's what
essence
I mean.
of it,
Like you said before, that Dizzy was Dizzy was influenced by that. So
UGK, Outkast, Goody Mob, all them people. Man knew about all them people because they had music that.
But I'm saying that was always just considered hip hop in America. And like it's not really considered a genre in the way that grime is. That's why I find this question interesting, because the lines are so blurred between trap and grime now. It's like, well, trap was always just considered hip hop. But then you got people that say trap ain't hip hop either.
But to me, it
gets funny.
All right then, so let's take it back to the to like when I was a UT, I got older cousins. They used to play me bare hip hop, right? And from what I remember about hip hop, there was 808 drums, the beats were up tempo, and the rappers rapped fast. Yeah. Then the 90s come along, and or like the end of the 80s happened, and then everything slowed down. And bearing in mind, man was a little Utie, like man was a little Utie, but I listened because it was always like I was always interested in the art form. And like, you know, the tempos slowed down and the rapping slowed down, and then it got fucked out and all the rest of it. But like if you look at like hip hop as a whole, not in this country, but hip hop as a whole, it's always had the whole spectrum. And it's always had the whole spectrum of like, man, like I see people and they're like, yeah, fam, no one's done this flow, rare, and they're Uties. And I'm like, bruv, I could track you back, and flipping, I can show you that flow from before you were born, bruv. Like, mans were doing them flows. Like, so like, to me, the answer is yes, hip hop and grime are exceedingly closely related. Some people can say they're different, some people will say the lines are blurred, but the essence of it is hood people needing to express themselves over music that they can grab and make,
When we first started this debate, someone like a guy called Tone, who runs a Tone coffee shop, was saying, he was saying grime ain't hip hop to him, and the reason, he's saying the problem is though that unless we can define what hip hop is, then this argument continues because there's no definition. Now we were saying everyone's definition is different, and then he was saying it doesn't exist because if everyone's definition is different, then it isn't anything. So can you define hip hop?
My definition of hip hop is young people that have no outlet, that need to express themselves, that find any ways and means of putting music together that they like to ride on to express themselves.
Yeah, I like that.
As simple as that. Like that is what I think hip hop is. But then if we're saying that, then we have to go back to the start of the sound system culture. Like, because that to me, like, even though that's reggae or dancehall or whatever you want to class it as, it's the same essence, fam. It's people like, and the thing is, they didn't even have like their own rhythms then. They went on the versions, brethren, and like they'd play one song and then they'd flip over the 7 and the instrumental would come on, which is what they called the version, and and then all the man then would come and ride it.
The Phonics pointed this out when we was debating the grime and jungle, and he was like, because you hear the MC saying like, ride the version, like in jungle and in garage, to point out the real connection to the sound system culture.